there is a point of difference, but I also have a vision now. I can see it now where the last time we spoke, I still couldn't see it. And now I can see what it's going to look like and see how my personal style will fit into a quite modern space.
Welcome back to our special series, The Long and Short of Opening a Restaurant. This is the third podcast that follows the journey of leading Australian chef and restaurateur Martin Boetz as he works towards opening Shortgrain, an Asian food store and eatery in Brisbane. In our first episode, Marty outlined the vision. Self-funded Shortgrain will be an eatery and food store in a landmark heritage building. Episode 2 focused on the big decisions around the build and the budget. Let's see where he's at now.
So we're in week 3 of the build, and so the first 2 weeks they did the plumbing, which involved cutting through the slab, which we found out that there was an old wooden floor that the slab has been laid upon, jacked up by brickwork. So it is safe, thank God. But a lot of the old woodwork underneath has been eaten out by white ants. So the poor plumber that had to climb underneath there on his back to get all the plumbing in, I wouldn't have, there was lots of spider webs and bits and pieces down there. So yeah, it was probably like opening up an old tomb. Anyway, so that's all been done. And I did have to change the kitchen around. So we had to come and drill some more holes just on Saturday. So that was a bit of, that was a bit weird. But anyway, we got through that, and all the ducting's been put up. So today some walls are going to be started to be erected in the space. So I'm pretty excited about that. And all of the finishes for like all the pretty bits have been decided upon. And I'm actually sitting in front of all of them now. And so I'm really happy with that, because that took a lot of, effort, because I actually was $150,000 over budget. And I had to just pare back on quite a few things, but I found really good replacements for them. So some tiles that were really expensive, I just pared back, but I found a great similar replacement, which is Australian made, and which is another plus, and also some material that was going to be put on the banquettes. I've just found another source for quite a good material also that's really durable and wearable, and it's easily washed. So it's probably better than a pure wool one that was going to be Scotch guarded. So I think just small things that add up to be quite a lot of money, and you just don't realise it at the time. And I suppose it was my wish list of all the things, and when a designer and an architect are involved, and they want the best as well. So we just had to pare back, and also with the lighting system that was going into the restaurant, it was going to be an Italian lighting system, and now it's an Australian-made lighting system, which is a quarter of the price. So it's all of these small things that end up being, hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And but you can find alternatives. You just have to look. And when you're on a budget and there's just no more money source coming, there's no more money tree to pick from, then you just have to, really have a look around. And that's what I did.
So much of creating a restaurant is about practical elements, the nuts, bolts, pipes and walls. But it's emotional too. How is Marty feeling about Shortgrain's progress?
Sleepless nights, sweating, self-doubt. Is it going to be good enough? And somebody told me, a very close friend of mine, she just said, remember, Marty, it's the food that they're coming for. It's not the look, it's not the designer that you've used, it's not the architect that you've used. I mean, that is a big part of it, and it's not, my previous, the shed or the cook shed was, I made a shed look pretty, and now it's sort of more serious because I'm in a city and there's a lot of other restaurants around me, and I just can't believe how many restaurants there actually are in Brisbane. There is so many. And you just have to have a point of difference, and I suppose that's why I'm trying to do something that's sort of not been done in Brisbane before, involving like the store and then having the eatery in the same spot and a big production kitchen and things like that. So there is a point of difference, but I also have a vision now. I can see it now where the last time we spoke, I still couldn't see it. And now I can see what it's going to look like and see how my personal style will fit into a quite modern space. It's a lot more modern than I originally thought it was going to be, but then softening it with pieces that I've sort of had from the shed or that I just bought recently in Thailand. So I think that will give it a personal style, and what the designer and the architect, what we spoke about, especially Chen, the designer, who's a great friend of mine, Chen Lu, he said, Marty, we want it to feel like when people are coming in, it's like they're coming into your house. And it's like they're coming into a dinner party, and there's different zones to the house, and they go into the dining room or they see the front counter and they can see the produce that you've made from your kitchen and things like that. And that's what I really want to portray, that people feel like they're going to be nurtured and looked after when they come there. It's not, and it's very important. I suppose the next time we speak will probably be more about staff and staffing it, where I haven't really started looking at. I have got a few people, but I haven't put it out there yet that I'm looking for staff, and that's something that is going to be really important to me. And I want people to get, I want people to get me, and I want people to have a sense of hospitality, because that's what I'm looking for, people with hospitality skills, more so than skills in just being able to work in a restaurant.
In the end, Shortgrain is going to be all about the food, but it's easy to be buried by the many elements of the design and build. How is Martin building his vision of the menu?
Oh, I've got lists, Dani. Lists and lists and lists of things that I write down that, could do this and could do that. So my head's a bit muddled with what I'm going to be. I know that I'm cooking Asian food, and I also know that I also don't want to be doing long grain food, because I've done long grain food, but some of the long grain dishes will be reincarnated into something else. But I mean, the flavors of my food will always be similar, but I want to also be able to give people something different that I haven't done before. So, and there's a few of those, and I just have to be really, I want to be careful in what the offering is. I don't want it to be it's a small menu, and I also want people to feel like they can come in and sit there on their own and have lunch there, and then maybe turn it around and come in for dinner and have a more intimate experience with a few people and share things. So it's just going to be a bit of it's going to be trial and error at the beginning with how I plate things, so people, as I said, feel like they can come in on their own and have a quick lunch and then go, but also come in for dinner and feel like that they can have an experience. And so that's sort of that part. I haven't got the vision of that yet, but I've certainly got the vision of how the restaurant or the eatery and shop are going to look now.
Early in the process, Martin was excited about using induction woks, but when the budget came back, he had to change tack.
So induction, I was really excited about induction, and I still am excited about induction. I've spoken to quite a few people about that, and I got the idea obviously from looking at chefs in Europe using induction, and I was really wanting to go down that road. One of the main factors is when I got the final price for the induction kitchen, it was a lot more than I thought it would be, about $150,000 more. It was over $300,000 to do the kitchen in induction, in full induction. And that wasn't in my budget. And now the kitchen is just under 200. But I've just decided to go with gas, for now. I can always change, but the reasoning behind that too is in Europe, they are using renewable energy. And they're so much further forward than we are in Australia. And I would still be using coal burning energy for my inductions or for the kitchen at this point. So until Australia has more renewable energy, one of the things that an electrician said to me, not an old one, not like an old school guy. He was quite young. And he said, Marty, I don't know if the grid is actually, if people keep changing everything to induction and using more electricity, I actually don't know how the grid's going to cope with it, with people plugging in their cars, plugging in everything, and then also changing everything to induction cookery and stuff like that. So I did listen to him, and that was a point, and he wasn't the only person that said that to me. So I have decided just to go with gas for now, and maybe in 5 years I'll change the kitchen to induction, and things might be majorly improved by then, and we may be using more renewable energy in this country.
While he's not actually running a restaurant, Martin Boetz has a bit of time for legwork and making decisions about some fittings. He talks about being hands-on.
Oh yeah, so I'm taking on a bit more because I've reduced the costs a bit. So I'm actually going to do the toilets and things like that on my own. So not as in build them, but I'm going to pick the tiles, all the tapware. I'm doing that today, and I'm also going to pick some marble for the bar tops and the waiter station today. So I've got to go. I'm driving down to the Gold Coast to see where all of this stone is and pick the piece that I want to use for the bar and table and waiter station. I've got the tile, like the floor tiles, and then the dining room floor is wooden. So everything, I've got all the colours, so I can sort of match the colours with or the stonework with the colours, and then the tiles. I'm going to do those for the bathroom as well. So and the tapware. So yeah, and it's also a part of me that's chosen that. So a bit of my own style in there, but yeah, I like doing that, and I'm available, so I can do it. So that saves time and saves somebody else doing it for me.
Running a restaurant is physical work, but it's also easy to let self-care and fitness slip. Marty explains the value he places on physical health, not just for his body, but also his mind.
I've always been quite fit, and the farm kept me quite fit because there was so much other work to do than kitchen work. There was gardening, there was just... Because I did a lot of pre-prep before the other chefs got there for the weekend work that we did. I sort of started on Wednesday, and then all the other cooks came on either Thursday or Friday. So I had a few days head start on them, and that was going to the market at Flemington, putting stuff away, making stocks, and all of that sort of thing. So it was quite labour intensive. And so I suppose I kept myself pretty fit, and I haven't been working really since last September or last August. So I just decided that I needed to get myself fit again. So I've just started with a trainer 3 days a week, and I do walk my dog every day, twice a day. So doing that plus the trainer, just getting me back to being fit again, I think it's really important. It's really good for my head as well. And I do it in the morning before I do it first thing. I need to get it over and done with. I don't want to think about it later in the day, and otherwise I won't do it. And I wouldn't do it. I'm not disciplined enough to do it by myself. I need to go and meet somebody and get them to crack the whip for an hour, and then I can, get on with my day. I suppose I started doing it at the beginning of long grain. I started using a trainer, and I did it about 3 times a week. And that it was also another interest besides just going to work every day. And I sort of get caught up with, just working all the time. So I had that as an interest, I suppose, because I don't really have any other hobbies besides working and cooking. So I thought exercising would be a good a good extra to throw in there. And it's as I said, it's good for my head. It just clears my head a bit before you go back into the kitchen again. The aspect of health, I really, now that I have reached 50, so I think it's really important to have that physical exercise in your life, and also for your mental health too, just to be able to focus.
As Marty moves towards the time that he'll be hiring the Shortgrain team, he's thinking about the culture he wants to create. What's he concerned about as he considers building his hospitality family?
Something that I'm concerned about, which I will talk more about in the next few times that we speak, is the difference of people's work ethic. I suppose that's something I'm concerned about, to find people that have got a good work ethic and that understand how I work, because I suppose I still work old school. I just want to get the job done, and it doesn't really matter how long it takes, because you can't sort of put your pencils down and close your desk and walk away in a restaurant, because there's so many things to do. Once the customers leave, you've still got to clean, you've still got to get ready for the next day and be organised. So it's not an 8-hour day, and it never will be. So I think that's something that I am concerned about, and I just want to make sure that I pick the right people that have got that attitude, and also I touched on the hospitality part. But working in a restaurant is about being hospitable. It's not just about being there and pouring some water and walking away and taking an order. It's about reading people and understanding their needs. Not everyone's pleasant, and you would hope that they are, but sometimes you've just got to read people, and sometimes the game is to win them over. I know a really good friend of mine who loves winning people over when they're not at their best, when they enter a restaurant. It's a game that he plays, and he always wins. He always gets them in the end. And it's a good practice to have. And I think it's a bit lost sometimes. I find walking into lots of restaurants, people aren't very friendly, and it's a shame, because the food's great, but then sometimes it's let down by the service, and that's something that I really want to make sure that we strive at, is good service. Leading by example as well is really important, and I'm happy. I'll do it. The thing about me is I'm happy to do anything. I'll clean. If I need to clean the bathrooms, I'll do that, or I'll clean the exhaust hoods or whatever. But at the end of the day, leading by example, the other guys should, or girls or whoever, should come up and say, Marty, let me do that, or let me help you, or whatever. It's just respect. And I think it's not just for me, it's for everyone in the team, that everyone feels as though they're supported by everyone, and then they can, if something falls short, somebody else will jump in and do it for them. It's not, oh no, I don't do that. I don't clean the toilets, or I don't, it's you just have to do it. And that's how I work. Dani, it's about creating a family, and you're bringing people in together that don't know each other, but you want them to get on, and you want them to have each other's backs, because in the heat of the moment, that's how a beautiful restaurant runs, because everyone has got their place, but if something goes wrong, they've got your back, and it just keeps humming through, and it's really important. And I saw that. The last time I saw that was when I worked down in Adelaide a few weeks ago at RK with Jake and Greta. That restaurant hummed, and everyone did such a wonderful job. It was brilliant working with Jake and his assistant Greta, and all the boys in the kitchen and girls. They were just wonderful.
Holes are being drilled, walls are going up, and money is definitely flying out of the bank account. There's no doubt that Shortgrain is well underway. Stick with us as we continue to check in with Martin Boetz on the progress of his Brisbane restaurant and food store. Will he be open by spring? This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.